Imagine if someone told you that God made a promise to you personally. How would you feel? Probably pretty good. You'd probably think about how blessed you are and what this promise means for your future. But what if I told you that God made promises in the past to people in the Bible that He has never broken? Would you be interested? I hope so. Because today we're going to talk about ancient covenants that Christians often forget about. Covenant is an ancient Near Eastern term that describes a type of agreement between two parties. The Hebrew term berith is usually translated into English as covenant or contract. In the Old Testament, there are several covenants that God made with mankind. And when we look at these covenants, we realize that they've shaped the world and our faith in ways that we may not realize. First, let's look at the first covenant in Genesis chapter 15, where God makes a covenant with Abram, who later will be renamed Abraham. God tells Abraham that his offspring will be strangers in a foreign land, and then God says, "Know certainly that your offspring will be on the other side of the river, if you can even picture that, in Egypt. And afterward they will come out with great substance and with great possessions. And they will be a great threat to that nation to which they will come as a nation, and they will go out from there with great possessions." What's interesting about this covenant is that it contains conditional and unconditional promises. God promised Abraham that his descendants would be strangers in a foreign land, which was a conditional promise. Why? Because if Israel becomes like the surrounding nations, God will do what He said. However, there were also unconditional promises. God said that His people would return from Egypt with great wealth and become a threat to the nation that oppressed them. Second, we see the Abrahamic covenant in Genesis chapter 26, where God reaffirms the promises made to Abraham and adds to them. God says, "To your offspring I will give this land, and I will establish the offspring of your offspring, your children's children, for an everlasting possession." Here, God confirms the land promise made to Abraham and adds the promise of an everlasting possession. This means that the land will be held by David's descendants forever. After Abraham, the next major covenant we see is the Mosaic covenant, established at Mount Sinai in Exodus chapters 19 and 20. It includes the Ten Commandments and serves as the basis for the law that regulates Israel's relationship with God. The Mosaic covenant establishes Israel as God's special possession, chosen above all other nations. The next covenant we see is the Davidic covenant, which is spoken of in 2 Samuel 7. When David desires to build a temple for God, God appears to him and says, "When your days are fulfilled and you rest with your fathers, I will raise up your offspring after you, who will come from your own body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the offspring of his line, and he shall build me a temple for my name." Notice that this covenant includes a physical aspect with the building of a temple and a spiritual aspect related to the Messiah as coming from David's lineage. Finally, we have the new covenant, which is established through the blood of Jesus Christ in Matthew 26 and Mark 14 during the Last Supper. Jesus says, "This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the remission of sins." The new covenant is a fulfillment of the old covenant and brings in a new era in our relationship with God. As you can see, these ancient covenants have had a profound impact on history and our faith. They remind us of God's faithfulness and His desire to have a close relationship with humanity. I encourage you to meditate on these covenants and ask God to help you understand their significance in your life. Remember, God keeps His promises. So if He made a promise in the past, we can be confident that He will fulfill it in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, remember to like and share. God bless you.